Hello students, I welcome you all to this unit number 3, the last unit of the chapter, The Lost Child. So students, it is the last unit that we will come to know about the conclusion of the chapter. Before we start the explanation of the points that I have written on board, you can see, I want all of you to open your textbooks. As you know that in the lectures that I provide you here on the YouTube, I always explain the chapter from line to line. So it is very beneficial for you, useful for you if you just read the text when I explain this chapter to you. So students, before we move on to the explanation of the points that I have written on board, I think we should take a recapitulation of the previous unit, unit number 2. So students, it was in unit number 2 that we came to know that the child along with his parents neared the village where the fair was being held. At the entrance of the fair, he was first encountered with the sweetmeat seller, and where he was quite delighted to see the stack of sweets, the stack of colorful sweets. And he also expressed his desire to buy a piece of burfi for him. Further, another sight that he saw was the flower seller, then there was a balloon seller, then there was a snake charmer, and finally there was the roundabout. The roundabout, which was in full swing, man, women, children, all were enjoying themselves. They were having a ride on the roundabout. The child also expressed his desire to take a ride on it. And when he made the request and there was no reply, he turned around to look for his parents, and he found that his parents were not there. With this, the unit number 2 ended. And now, we are going to discuss the last unit of this chapter, The Lost Child, written by Mulk Rajanand. And in this last unit, I have written a few points on the board. And let me just read out these points to you first. Child's fear at having been lost. How does a child express himself when he finds that he is lost? Cries suppressed into sobs. For the first time, when the child finds that he is lost, he is unable to find his parents anywhere. First of all, he cries a lot, continuously keeps calling for his parents, mother, father, and he cries uncontrollably, and all of a sudden, after some time, his cries suppressed into sobs, means his cries convert into little sobs. Then there is the third point, a shrine with crowded people. So finally, when the child is trying to get a trace of his parents, when the child is trying to spot his parents somewhere, all of a sudden he sees that a lot of people are coming and gathering at a point that is a shrine. So the child, with the hope of finding his parents there at the shrine, he just reaches the shrine. Then child's rescue by estrangement. Here, when the child comes to the shrine in the hope of finding his parents, he finds that the place is very crowded, and it is that he is being kicked, he is being jostled, he is being thrown away by the people. And it is here we come to know that the child is almost trampled over by the people. And then there, all of a sudden comes a man to his rescue. The man picks the child up in his arms, and then the man tries to soothe the child, tries to calm the child down, and he tries to distract the child's attention from his parents. And in order to do this, he tries to offer the child various things that the child earlier wanted. Now, let us see what actually happens in the chapter here. So I am going to discuss point number 1 with you. So in point number 1, the point number 1 says child's fear at having been lost. So when child turns to look for his parents, he finds that the parents are nowhere to be found. And then a full deep cry rose within the child's throat, and the child, with a sudden jerk of his body, with a strong jerk of his body, ran from where he was standing. He was crying in real fear. He knew that he was lost, and in the state of fear, he started running from one place to another. He ran sometimes from one place to another. He was panic stricken. Panic stricken means he was full of fear. And this time it was a real fear, because he knew that he has been lagged behind from his parents. So students, let us now move on to the explanation of point number 1. Point number 1, child's fear at having been lost. How does the child actually feel when he finds that he is lost? A full deep cry rose within the child's dry throat. That means the child is very frightened. And with a strong jerk of his body, he starts running from where he is standing. Why does he make this movement? Because he is in real fear. And he starts crying. He starts calling for his parents. He is unable to understand where he should go and where he should look for his parents. And in this confusing state of mind, he just starts running from one place to another. He starts looking for his parents hither and thither. Hither and thither means here and there. Here and there. He also, hither and thither means here and there. He also feels what? Panic stricken. Panic stricken means frightened. So in this frightened state of mind, the child tries to look for his parents hither and thither. Tears start coming from his eyes. His yellow turban also comes untied, and his clothes also become dirty. So students, we find that the child continues to look for his parents. He continues to call for his parents, father, mother, father, mother. He keeps running from one place to another, but he is unable to find his parents. Finally, he comes to a halt. He comes to a pause. He stands at a place, and we find that his cries are now turned into little sobs. The child is in a very confusing state of mind. He is unable to understand what he should do. He is unable to understand where he should go and how he should try to find his parents. Finally, with the help of his filmy eyes. Filmy eyes here means the eyes which are moving consistently from one place to another, like the images in a film are moving constantly. So the child with his filmy eyes tries to look for his parents. He is wailing. He is weeping. Wail here means weep. So the child is weeping, and finally he takes a look at a group of men and women who are standing at some distance. He tries to look at the patches of yellow, bright cloths of the people, and he tries to identify his parents, but unfortunately he finds that his parents are nowhere to be found. Now let us discuss the point number 3, a shrine with crowded people. Finally, the child sees that a group of people are coming, and they are gathering at a place that is a shrine. A shrine is what? A shrine is a place of worship. Place of worship. So the child sees that there are a lot of men with murderous eyes, men with hefty shoulders, men who are jostling each other, men who are trying to show their way ahead. The child also tries to walk through the feet of the man, and finally he finds that he is being thrown, he is being jostled by the people, and we come to know that he is almost trampled over had he not shrieked at the top of his voice. If he had not shrieked at the top of his voice, he would have been run over by the crowd. And when he cries at the top of his voice, his cry is heard by a man who is among the crowd. The man, the man immediately takes the child in his arms. So students, now let us move on to the point number 5 of this unit number 3. So point number 5, the last point. In this point we will read how the child reacts when the man picks him up and takes him away to a safer place, especially from the crowded area. Now, the man first of all tries to soothe the child who is consistently weeping and calling for his parents. He's crying for his parents. The man treats the child very tenderly, and he tries to ask the child about his parents. He also asks the child how he got there. He asked the child whose baby he was. And in order to deviate the attention of the child, in order to calm the child down, the man first of all takes the child to the roundabout. Here we will come to know in the chapter that the child, when starts his journey from the entrance of the fair, at the entrance of the fair, who was sitting? There was a sweetmeat seller, right? And the point where the child gets lost, at that point there is a roundabout. So now the man who is trying to help the child, the man who is trying to deviate the attention of the child from his father and mother, the man who is trying to pacify the child, he just makes the reverse journey now. Means he first takes the child to the roundabout, then he takes the child to the snake charmer, then he takes the child to the balloon seller, right? And finally he takes the child to the sweetmeat seller. So now when the man takes the child to the roundabout, he asks the child if he wants to take a ride on a horse. But the child, his heart is choked with cries and sobs only, and he does not give any answer. He just says that he wants his father and mother. So students, the man takes the child to the snake charmer, the same snake charmer whom the child had seen when he was on his way to the fair. We find the snake charmer is still playing his flute to the swaying cobra. Swaying here means the cobra which is moving its head according to the music of the flute. So the man pleads the child to listen to the nice music of the flute, but the child finds that the music of the flute is not at all sweet to his ears. The sweet music of the flute which he considered last time is now very coarse to him, and that is why he blocks his ears. He puts his fingers into his ears to prevent the music falling into his ears. Then the man tries to deviate the attention of the child, and he takes the child to the balloon seller. The man thinks that the beautiful colors of the balloons will distract the attention of the child from his parents, and that the child will for some time come back to normal, and that he will stop crying uncontrollably. But when the child sees the balloons, and the man offers him to buy for him one of the balloons, the child turns his eyes away from the beautiful balloons. The man then takes the child to a flower seller. The man then takes the child to the flower seller. The flower seller, who is still sitting with his basket of flowers and garland of gulmohar. The man offers the child a garland of gulmohar. He pleads the child to smell the pleasant smell of the flowers. But the child is least interested in the flowers and the garland of gulmohar. The child turns his nose away. He does not want anything. He only wants his parents, and that is why he cries, "I want my father, I want my mother." Man then takes the child to the sweetmeat seller who is selling different sweets of different color. The man tries to placate the child by asking him which sweet would he like to take, but the child has lost all his interest in all the things that he wanted earlier. The child is not interested even in the burfi that he wanted earlier. The child speaks nothing. He just turns his face away and he utters only a single word, and that is, I want my mother, I want my father. So with this chapter, especially the unit number 3, comes to an end. With this unit number 3, the chapter also comes to an end. In this chapter, we have come to know how a child has lost his interest in all those things that he saw on his way and he wanted them. And the reason for the loss of his interest is that he is not with his parents anymore. That he is now alone. He is lagged behind from his parents. This shows that the child loved his parents a lot, and that the devoid of his parents' company has made him totally uninterested in the things that he wanted earlier. So students, I hope that the things I have explained here must be understandable to you, and I hope that you have understood it well. And still, if there is any issue, still if there is any query about the topics that I've explained today, you can write about it in the comment box. So students, with this, I thank you all for watching this video, and I'll be back soon with a new chapter. Thank you.